Hello, my fellow Christian fiction lovers. Welcome to another video. Today, I'm going over every book I read in March and April. Over the last 2 months, I have read 14 books and I have DNF'd 2, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about all of them. Yeah, we have a lot to cover, so let's just go ahead and jump right in. So, in absolutely no particular order, we're just going to start with historical fiction, and I have lumped time split books into historical fiction. So, starting, we have Appalachian Song by Michelle Shocklee. I did a whole reading vlog for this book. This was a couple of weeks ago now, but I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stars. I thought it just really hit the mark of like a good time split that like the two timelines are intertwined, especially because some of the characters in the historical timeline make an appearance in the present day timeline. Oh my gosh, my words are not coming to me. But yeah, the stories were tied together really well and I really liked that. So a quick summary: this book follows in the historical timeline. Oh, the description's not on the back, so I'll just have to remember. um it follows two women in the historical timeline. It follows Birdie, a midwife who lives with her four other sisters in um, just like a mountain cabin up in Tennessee, and she is a midwife for their community. And one day she finds a girl who has been shot, a young girl who has been shot, and she and her sisters take that girl in. They end up naming her Songbird because she doesn't offer any other name to them. And the other perspective in the historical timeline is Songbird. And Songbird is pregnant, and her child's father, it has gone to war. So he's not in the picture currently. So it's following them and also like the reason that she was shot and just all of the drama that brought her into Birdie and her sister's lives. So it's following all of those difficult choices that Songbird has to make in the past. I think this was in the 1940s. Yes, in the 1940s. And then in the present day, we are also following two characters. One of them is another midwife, not related to Birdie. She's just a midwife who does traditional midwifery. That's the right word, right? Midwifery. She's a midwife in a Tennessee town, and life, her path crosses with a man. He's a famous country singer who has recently found out he's adopted, and he knows that she is an adoption advocate. And so they kind of go on a journey to search for all he knows. All he has is the signature of the midwife that was present at his birth. And so they go on a journey to find out more about his birth mother and the circumstances that led to his adoption. Beautiful book. I connect really well with stories like this that are about pregnancy and adoption. So beautiful, and um, really pulls at your heartstrings. Then I finally read The Lost Heiress by Roseanna M. White, and I loved it. It was so good. I gave this book 4 stars even. This book follows kind of two main characters, but I feel like it's only one. So Brooke Eden, she has been growing up with her adoptive mother. This is set in 1910. Sorry, I just wanted to get the time period right. But yes, so set in 1910, Brooke Eden has been living in some country in the Mediterranean Sea. And her friend Justin comes to her and is basically like, hey, I found your birth father, and you are actually an heiress to like this whole estate. And her birth father is still living, and has been desperately wanting to find his lost daughter, hence the title, The Lost Heiress. And so this book is all about them meeting and connecting, and Brooke just really discovering like, what is my life now that I'm not who I thought I was. And then we also get a lot of stuff from Justin, her friend's perspective. So we just get it kind of like seeing the world through his eyes. But I feel like Brooke is the primary main character. So I really liked it. I love stuff like this. I kind of like this has been my thing, like this time period, like the like 1900 to 1930, books set in that time period that have to do with nobility. I have been eating those up recently. You'll see there's a couple more that are like this, but it's so oh, I love it. It's so good. All right, and then next we have, well, the first two books in the series, but first, The Metropolitan Affair by Jocelyn Green. This is the first book in the On Central Park series, and this book, I gave this book 4.5 stars. It was so good. I was not expecting it to be this good. Honestly, I wasn't. I had never read Jocelyn Green before. I didn't know. I didn't know what the vibes were. But Jocelyn Green, I've now read two of her books, and I'm currently reading the third book in this series, like right now. And her books give very much like Roseanna and White vibes. Um, but yeah, I also have a reading vlog where I read this, so I won't talk about it too much. Definitely go check that one out. But this one is the only book in this series that has two perspectives. So this one follows Lauren Westlake, and she works at the Metropolitan Museum in New York, specifically with Egyptian archaeology. And the other perspective is from her former, I mean, they were friends, but then I guess they also kind of had a relationship when they were in their like 20s. What's his name? Oh, Joe Caravello. And he is he's a detective with like the New York Police Department, I guess. He's trying to solve a case revolving around Egyptian artifacts that have been faked. And so he's like, I know Lauren knows a lot about this stuff. And so that's kind of how they reconnect. And then, things progress. Feelings might be rekindled. Who's to say what happens? But I loved it. It was so good. I loved both of the characters like equally. And like I said, I gave it 4.5 stars. And then the second book in that series, the Hudson collection, follows Lauren's roommate, one of her roommates, Elsa Reisner. And Elsa works as an ornithologist at the American Museum of Natural History. If you don't know what that is, that's okay. I didn't either. Basically, she knows a lot about birds. Her boss one day calls her into his office and is like, "Hey, we just received this lady just passed away, and she donated her entire bird collection, like stuffed birds, like that used to be living, to our museum. And we need you to go to her house and sort through all these birds to see which ones we need for the museum or which ones we want." So she goes, and there's kind of some like suspicious things that are happening at the house. She meets up, she not meets up, she meets a variety of people. So it's like the heir, or not, I guess, yeah, the heir who's like managing getting rid of all of his, it wasn't grandmother, maybe it was his aunt's things. Um, she forms a friendship with the gardener and her daughter that live on the estate, and she also forms a friendship with a construction worker and his employee. Um, and the stories all kind of intertwine and weave together. And I really liked this book too. I gave this one like 4.25 stars. I liked it a lot. The entire book was from Elsa's perspective. I was expecting to get one of the construction workers' perspectives at one point. Like I don't know, I just thought that's how it would go, but it didn't. It was all from Elsa, and I did like it, and Elsa was a great character. This book has really good disability representation. Elsa had polio when she was a child and never like physically fully recovered from it. And then there is also a girl, the gardener's daughter is I mean, they obviously didn't have the diagnosis for it at the time, but she is definitely like autistic. The symptoms are they're there. It's clear. So I loved that representation, especially in a historical fiction. And yeah, the series is so good. I highly recommend it. And then I reread The Inheritance by Tamera Alexander. This was so fun. I have a reading vlog where I talk about it. I need to stop talking about every book so much because this video is going to be ages long. But Yeah, I loved this book. It follows a girl who um, she and her brother go out west to try and help their cousins run their farm. And upon arriving, the cousins are dead, or one of them is like currently dying. And it's really sad. Like, it's genuinely very sad. So then McKenna, the main character this all follows, she is left to raise her little cousin, Janie. I just feel like that's not her name. Yeah, so I was so wrong. It's Emma. I don't know how I could get that so wrong. But yeah, McKenna is left to raise Emma, and also make sure her brother stays out of trouble. And she meets this Marshall, who is the other main character in this book, Marshall Wyatt Carradine, who feels a need to protect McKenna and her situation because he was there when the cousin died. And yeah, it's just about how she's like, oh, we need to stay away from the law because of some stuff in our past. But he's like, I want to help you. And yeah, it's a really, really great story. I gave it 4.5 stars. I gave it 5 stars the first time I read it, but this time around I gave it 5 stars. Or no, I gave it 4.5 stars. I hope that made sense. All right, and then I read Hope Between the Pages by Pepper Basham. This is the first Pepper Basham book I have read, and I gave this book 3 stars. I was expecting to enjoy it a lot more than I did, but that's okay. So I think my main thing with this book, 3 stars is not a bad rating. To me, 3 stars is just like it was a mid book. It wasn't awful. It wasn't great. Like it's nothing to write home about, you know, on either way, if that makes sense. I think my main thing with this book is that it's just too short. Like, look at it. It's short. It's a quick read, and it's also a time split. So there is just not enough time to develop both timelines properly enough for me to be fully invested and like fully sympathize with the characters. And some hard things really did happen in this story, but I just didn't get enough page time with them to feel invested. So basically, in the present day, we have Clara Blackwell, and she is on a mission to save her family's bookstore from financial ruin, and basically from, like, I guess, like the bank repossessing it or some legal thing like that. And then in the historical timeline, we have Clara's great grandmother, Sadie. That is the great grandmother's name. And Sadie is, we know Sadie started the bookstore that Clara is trying to save. And basically, this is a story of how she went from being a maid um, at the Biltmore mansion that's in Asheville, North Carolina, to opening a bookstore. And yeah, Clara uncovers like this whole thing, but we are also reading about it in the past. But it is such a good premise, such a really good premise. But I'm like, I needed 200 more pages. I really did. Like, we could have fleshed this out so much more. All right, and then I just finished up like 2 days ago When the Day Comes by Gabrielle Meyer, the first book in the Timeless series. I will be continuing this series, even though I gave this book 3.5 stars, which I don't know if typically I would maybe continue a series if I'd rated the first one 3.5. So this book follows Libby. She's a time crosser. By the time she turns 21, she has to choose one of the timelines. I feel like everybody has talked about this book, so I maybe don't need to go into it as deeply. But yeah, she lives in 1774 and 1914. I did a whole reading vlog for this that has either come out by now or will come out, where I really I went into all my in-depth thoughts, so I'm not gonna go through them all here. The gist of it for me is I needed a little more plot and a little less complaining about the one timeline, you know? Okay. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, and then my last kind of historical fiction, this feels like way more like contemporary for some reason, but The Wedding Dress by Rachel Hauck. This book was so sweet. I gave it 3.75 stars. It was a 4-star read for like probably like this much of the book. It was a 4-star read for sure. And then the last like 50 to 60 pages, maybe a little more than that. Oh my gosh. What happened? I can't talk about all of it, but because it would just be too long. But basically, we're following 2 timelines again. Can y'all tell I like time split historical fiction? I really do. So in the present day, we're following Charlotte Malone, and she owns a bridal boutique, and she has this like gift of being able to match brides with like a perfect dress. And she goes to an auction and is like compelled to buy this trunk. And she has no idea what's in the trunk, but she buys it and she finds a wedding dress in it. Also, Charlotte is engaged. That's helpful to know for the plot of the story. But I mean, you should read the book. And then in the past timeline, it's in the like 19 teens. Telling you something about those 1910s. Anyway, and we're following Emily, who is also engaged, and she is really questioning if she has made the right choice with her fiance, because in chapter 1, from her perspective, her old boyfriend comes back and is like, "Girl, I still love you." And she's like, "You can't. I'm engaged." And then she's like questioning, like, did I make the right choice? Is my fiance the right man for me? And she does get married in the end. I won't tell you to who. She is the first woman to wear this wedding dress. And then through Charlotte's like basically researching about the dress and like following its history, we learn of 2 other brides that wore this dress, and all of them wore it and like it was like made for them. Like it was made just for their body, and like they didn't have to alter it at all, which is like really uncommon. So yeah, it's a really sweet story. I liked it a lot. I thought the ending was not that great, which was why it dropped to a 3.75.
Hey guys, popping in from the future. As I was going over some like reading stats and stuff like that, I realized I forgot to include a book because I had forgotten to add it to my 2026 reads shelf on Goodreads. That book is Things We Didn't Say by Amy Lynn Green. I really, really, really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4.75 stars. It was just beautifully done. So this book follows Joanna Berglund, but the whole story is told through letters and newspaper articles and notes. It's all written word. There's no dialogue unless the characters writing are talking about like, in this conversation so and so said, but there's really not like, there's not dialogue in that sense. So we open on the book. I know I talked about this book in another video, and I'll try and remember which one it was and to link it. But basically, we open on this book knowing that Joanna is going to be taken to court for something that she did while working at a prisoner of war camp in Minnesota, in the hometown that she is from. And so that is the prologue, is a letter from her like attorney or something like that. Oh my gosh, can you see him? So then you turn the page and you start chapter 1, and the first letter is from a year prior to that. And so you're reading letters and newspaper articles and all this stuff that are basically following Joanna as she ends up taking a job at the prisoner of war camp housing German prisoners. Oh. I know. You want to share about it too. Anyway, close to her hometown in Minnesota, and a good majority of the book is her writing to her friend Peter. They met, I can't remember exactly how they met, but he is a translator. She is a translator. That is the job that she has at the camp, and she basically just grows to recognize the humanity of the German prisoners of war, and that really affects her. and leads her to making certain decisions that may or may not take her to court, you know? I loved this book. Joanna was a character that I don't think if I met her in real life I would get along with her very well, but from having read her letters and her innermost thoughts written down, I definitely understand where she is coming from, and I see why she makes the decision she does and why she has the personality she does. And I thought the story, considering that it was all written, what's the word for that? Epistolary. It's all epistolary. Like, that really impressed me that it was done in that way. So yeah, like I said, I gave this book 4.75 stars. So close to a 5-star. Just the ending. There's just one thing with the ending that I didn't love, but it's okay. It didn't take away from the majority of the book. So yes, that is that book. So sorry I forgot it in the original clip.
Okay, and then the one single contemporary fiction book that I read was South of Somewhere by T.I. Lowe. I have a whole review up for this, I believe. I like distinctly remember filming one. So that should be, I'll link it, obviously. But yeah, I loved this book. It was 5 stars. Such a good story and representation of uh addiction and mental illness. And yeah, so it follows Juniper Wilder right as she is getting out of rehab, and she moves to into the home that she has inherited from her grandmother, and she is just working to rebuild her life. And that is the book. She's working to rebuild her life, regain custody of her daughter, and it is such a good book. It is beautiful. I love T.I. Lowe. I love her books. The couple that I've read, they've just all been so powerful. Um, and I hear a lot of people calling her books like romances, and I'm like, guys, don't go into this expecting a love story. Please don't. Please don't. Because it's not. It's like there is romance in her books for sure, but it's not pure romance. Like, it's actually very deep and very challenging, and I really like that. So, yes, loved it. All right, so that was all of my Christian fiction. Now, I'll hold on. I'm balancing my drink on my bed, which, like, is that safe? No, but I'm still doing it. Anyway, now let's move into my classics. So, I'll talk about these two together because I did that in my last reading wrap up with the first two. But I read The Two Towers. The Two Towers and The Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien. I love this series so much, guys. I love Lord of the Rings with a passion that I like never thought was possible. I truly used to be like, oh, the Lord of the Rings, like it can't be that good. Like, why are grown adults so obsessed with it? Obviously, I'm such a baby fan. I have not, dived deep into the lore. I love them so much, and I honestly think I might reread them this year because they're so good. They're so good. I'm obsessed. Literally obsessed. Like, if you had told me a year ago that I would be binging fantasy and binging The Lord of the Rings, I would have been like, no, sit down. You don't know what you're talking about. But that is indeed what happened with these books, and I love them. Okay, and then I did start the Chronicles of Narnia by reading The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I did a fun little reading vlog for this a couple weeks ago, but yeah, loved this. It was also 5 stars. Did I mention that for the other two? If you couldn't tell, they were 5 stars. But this one was also 5 stars. So nostalgic, so sweet. And then, guys, genuinely my most favorite book ever. Like, if you ask me, Sierra, what's your favorite book? I am always, always, always going to say Emma by Jane Austen. Always. I really don't think there's a book in the world that could change that for me. And I reread this book, and like, oh my gosh, why am I getting emotional? This book I always read it like at the perfect time in my life because I connect with it so much. And I think this was like the sixth or seventh time I've reread it. And I I've been going through like a really, really hard time with my work. I can't disclose any details or anything, but just I've it's been a struggle. Like it's been a real struggle to go to work every day. And obviously like I have the Lord and I have my family and I have really great support and like it is the Lord's strength that is getting me through it absolutely. But I had picked up right before all of this stuff started going down, like the day before, I picked up this book to start rereading it. And like it was such a comfort, honestly, to be reading it during such a hard time of like, this is a story that is so like sweet and comforting to my heart. And just the fact that like, I don't know. I'm being so like sappy about a book, but genuinely like it is the biggest comfort read for me. And it really did comfort me during like one of the worst things I have ever gone through with work. And like I know I'm young, so I'm gonna go through more stuff. But anyway, sob story over. Obviously 5 stars, 6 stars. I mean, it's just so good. But yeah, such a comfort read, so beautiful. I I can't say enough good things about Emma. All right, so that was all the fiction that I read. I did read one. Well, I finished one nonfiction, which I started back in January. I know. I know. Don't judge me. Anyway, I finally finished Boundaries for Your Soul by Alison Cook and Kimberly Miller. And this was definitely a 5-star read. I got a lot of practical life lessons out of it. Very Christian centered, I guess is the right word. It was super good and super practical, and the authors provided a lot of really great examples from their own counseling experiences that I thought helped me understand it a lot. So, yes, finally finished it. It literally took me like 4 months, and I'm not proud of that. Okay, and then I did actually have 2 DNFs that I'll go over super quickly. The first I talked about in a vlog a couple of weeks ago, and that is The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. I know it's a classic. I know it's great American literature. It was not great for me. It was not. And enough people commented on that video where I talked about my thoughts on it that made me realize I don't want to waste my time anymore. So I'm not. I'm keeping it just because it's a classic, but I did actually, like, I turned the page down at where I stopped. I stopped after chapter 21. So about, I'd say like a little over halfway. Yeah, but go hear all my thoughts in that vlog. Okay, and then the second book I'm DNFing is not because I don't like it. I actually was enjoying reading it. I'm just not in the mood to continue it right now. This was recommended to me by, I can't remember, someone I was talking to about Lord of the Rings. But it is called The Battle for Middle Earth by Fleming Rutledge, and the subtitle is Tolkien's Divine Design in the Lord of the Rings. And I was like, oh, like I'm in such a Lord of the Rings kick. Like I'll reread or not reread. I'll read this. And like it is genuinely a good book, and I am really enjoying it. But I got it from the library, and it's due back, and I don't really feel like I'm going to finish it before it's due back. It's definitely something that I would pick up like again later down the road though. So those were all of the books that I read the last 2 months. Let me know if you've read any of them. I'll link any video that I mentioned in the description. I also hopefully will have done the little like card thing. I think it comes over on this side, but I could be wrong. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments, but thank y'all so much for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a like, and if you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you in a video very soon. Bye!